Today we're going to go over how to change the batteries in a Permobil power chair. Now I have an M5 right here, but this video will apply to the M3, the M5, the F3, the F5, and the F5 vertical standing. This is the older model of Permobil. This video will also apply to the newer model. They kept the same battery system across units and across the different models. So the tools I'm going to use is I have an Allen set here. We're going to be using the 6mm Allen wrench and possibly the 5mm, depending on the screws that are in here. And then depending on the batteries, I've got either a 10mm wrench or a 7/16 wrench. It depends on which batteries are installed in the unit. I have the seat lift up and out of the way just to give me more room to work. You do not have to have the seat lift up in order to do this. It just gives me more room to work. So we're going to start by making sure the power is off on your chair, and we're going to remove the shrouds. So the shrouds are moved by these two screws up front here. We're just going to undo them, set them to the side. This front panel might fall off, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to gently slide this top panel off. Just like that. And then we're going to take this back panel off. It's held in place by a little bit of Velcro. Be very careful when you pull this off, especially if you have a lighting system in your chair. This one does not, but if the chair had a lighting system, there's a cable that attaches back here. You don't want to yank this off and accidentally damage the lighting systems in your chair. So once you have that off, this just pulls out. And now we have access to the back of the chair. Now the next thing we're going to do is turn off the entire power to the chair. So there's a switch right here. You're going to push it to the right. You saw that blinking light go away. That disconnected the power to the whole chair. And the only reason we're doing this is so the batteries aren't going to arc when we're trying to connect them. So the next step is going to be removing any wires or cables that is going to tie the battery tray to the actual chair. So this is a whole tray that slides out, but some of these cables are connected to the main chair. So the first we're going to remove, not all chairs have this, but this is your Connect Me module. It's held in place by some Velcro. We're just going to set that to the side. You've got your joystick controller. This one is going right here. Some models will have this, you can track it on the side here. We'll have it going up and under here. But this one is up top. We're going to remove that, put it to the side. Then we're going to remove our two motor cables. So the motor cables are these red and black cables with like a smaller cable attached to them. You just depress on the side and you kind of wiggle them out. So we pull that out, I'm going to set it to the side. Same with this one. There we go. So it's kind of hooked in here. There's a little hook that holds the cables in. We can set these to the side. And then the next step is where our wrenches come in. So you've got 4 screws, 2 up here and then 2 here. And that we're going to loosen these and take these out. So these are 6mm screws. So going to remove those. Sometimes these bottom ones are going to be 5mm screws, just as a heads up. But not on this particular unit. So once these screws are out, we're going to be able to slide our tray off the chair. All right, our screws are out. Make sure there's no cables under here. You do not want to drop the tray on the cables and potentially damage them. There are 2 straps here you can use, and you can just slide the tray out. And now we have access to our batteries. So the next step is we're going to remove the terminals from the batteries. So we can slide these terminal covers out of the way. Now on Permobil factory batteries, you're going to use a 10mm wrench. If you get MK batteries or any other aftermarket, you're probably going to have a 7/16 wrench. But in the factory batteries, it's 10mm. So I'm going to loosen these with our wrench and then take the screws off. Now that I have the terminals off the batteries, I can now pull the batteries out. Keep in mind these batteries are heavy, they're about 40 pounds. but they would just lift out. And now we're ready to install our new batteries in the chair. So before we install the new batteries, I want to cover something that you might have to do. Depending on the size of batteries you get or even the brand, the terminals might be swapped. So in some batteries you'll have positive on the left and negative on the right, and then some would be opposite, positive on the right, negative on the left. So before you put your batteries in, you want to check to make sure which side the batteries are on, because we might have to swap these cables. So I've slid the tray back in just so I can show you what I'm doing a little bit easier. And we're going to swap these cables because the batteries I'm going to install have positive on the left. And as you can see, our negative cable is on the left. So I want to swap these two cables. These other cables you don't have to touch. These are neutral cables, so they're fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the terminal covers off. And then this black cable is currently wrapped around this bracket here. So I'm going to unwind it. And now it's out of the way. This red one is pushed through this little rubber holder. So I'm going to slide it through just like that. And then we're just going to swap the cables. So I'm going to put the black one under here, up, and then through this little rubber holder. Pull it all the way through. And then this red one is going to wrap around this metal bracket here. Oh, that popped out. And then we're going to put our terminal covers back on. And now the wires are swapped and they should fit our new batteries. Now I'm going to put the new batteries in. So I'm just going to pick them up and drop them into the chair. Make sure it's sitting cleanly in this tray. There we go. They're both secure, sitting flat. And now we're going to reattach our cables. You want to make sure your lock washer is on top of the cable. Then it just screws in, just like that. And then we're just going to tighten it with our 10mm wrench or a 7/16 wrench if you have a different brand of batteries. We're going to do that for all four. Now that I got all four cables reconnected to the batteries, I've got the terminal covers over the terminals, we're going to slide this tray back in. Just want to pick it up. There we go, and it should sit flush against the chair. Now that the tray is back in, we're going to put our 4 bolts back in. We've got 2 up top here. And then 2 on the sides. I would not tighten them yet because this tray sometimes isn't perfectly lined up. I would just start all 4 before you actually start cranking down on them. Now that I've got all 4 in, I can actually tighten them with my wrench. Now that these 4 bolts are tightened, we're going to reconnect our cables. I'm going to start with this motor cable here. You've got the left motor cable. It's going to sit on the left, on the underside of this brain box. Right cable on the right. We're going to reconnect our joystick cable. This one goes up top. Sometimes they will go underneath and into here. Depends on your chair. And then reattach this Connect Me module. Just a little bit of Velcro right here. And now we're going to put our shrouds back on. I'm going to start with this bottom shroud. This circular portion here is going to connect to the frame down here. There's a little notch for it. There we go. If you have a lighting package in your chair, you would reconnect that now. There's a little plug that would be right about here. And then you're going to push up and this little Velcro is going to touch that Velcro here. Might not stick, but once you put the second plate on, it's going to slide on the top of this rail here. Then you're going to push it through just like that. And it's going to catch the back of this back shroud like that. And we'll push that forward. And then this front shroud sits on top of the back one. So it can be a little tricky, especially if you have larger batteries in your chair. You might have to hold this forward with one hand. Then we're going to take our little screws, make sure they're lined up, and then screw these back in. I'll do the second one. There it goes. Sometimes you gotta fight it a little bit, but this one was pretty easy. There we go, these are tight. And then we're going to turn our power back on. That switch that we turned off is going to be right under here. You're going to push it to the left. You will feel some resistance, but you'll hear a click. And now the power to your chair is back on and you can use your new batteries.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And my name is Alex. We're co-owners of Marc's Mobility.
I started this company in 1995.
We sell many products, not just what you see in this video. If you have any questions or concerns, please call us at the number below at 800-677-6293. Thank you and have a wonderful day.